What's up YouTube, this is RL Yoshi as usual, I'm Max, and welcome to more Let's Play Asagao Academy Normal Boots Club. Last time, John's play Romeo and Juliet started, and seeing as Juliet, as played by Jacques, obviously didn't learn lines properly, things are not going well. And then Jacques, like the fake new Jacques, flew off, apparently. And now John is kind of freaking out. Or he was freaking out, then we calmed him down more or less. But now, in between episodes, I thought about this. Ending the episode gave me time to think about this off screen, and I kind of made reasoning with myself. For this choice, we can either be sympathetic with him, or we can be real with him. And if we are sympathetic, I feel like we're just doing what we've been doing this whole time. I feel like we're at the point where we need to be real with him, because being sympathetic has not helped so far. So we're gonna be real with him.
Well...
John, listen. I swallowed. I hated being the bearer of bad news. Jacques is gone. There's no getting him back. This new bird was a mistake. Something else is popping up on my screen, goddammit. There's no replacing Jacques, and I think you and I both know it. We were being too stubborn, trying to force something that wasn't meant to be. We. I think we both need to learn how to let things go. John didn't say anything for a long while. I stroked the back of his hair, heart pounding, hoping beyond hope I hadn't done any damage or made it worse. Snippets of the play floated through the cracks in the curtains. They were getting close to Juliet's next scene. Would he just have to stop the play? John pushed himself away from me. I'll be right back. John scurried into the back room, and I bit my lip. Did I do the wrong thing? Some of the other actors watched as I crossed to and sat down in a corner of the room. When I looked at them, they looked away. As if this whole situation wasn't bad enough. Finally, John returned, solemnly carrying a pile of bunched fabric in his hands. It looked kind of familiar. He came up to me, then gently set it on my lap. I ran my hands across it, smoothing it out. It was thick and heavy, purple and beige. I straightened it, and folds of a dress spilled to the floor. Juliet? Do you mind taking over?
What?
But John, I'm not an actress. I know you know the lines from trying to teach them to Jacques this whole past month. I heard you while you were practicing. You were trying to teach him the emotion, not just the words. And the thing is, you were good. Not great, of course, but good. You make a fantastic tree, but I think you'd make an even better Juliet. And if I hadn't been so stubborn, I would have seen this sooner. John, I don't know. I'm really not the acting type. I have really bad stage fright. I'm just not sure. Hana, even if you don't think you could do it for yourself, couldn't you do it for me? My hands shook as I held the dress up, trying to imagine it on myself. There was no way this was going to go well. There was no way. But then, it wasn't as if the play could get any worse. I wanted to take some of the strain off of John. Even if this meant that the play completely bombed, at least we could face the devastation together. For once, John was truly relying on me. If it's for you, I think I can try. John immediately pulled me to a bear hug, crushing my arms against my ribs, then just as quickly pulled away. Go get changed! Hurry! I'll stall for as long as I can. But, go! John pushed me toward the dressing room, then rushed into the wings. I sprinted into the back room. The costumer stood back there, sheer glee on her face. I always hoped this costume would see the light of day. She stripped me down, practically demolishing my tree costume in a rush, I can fix it later, and pulled Juliet's dress over my head. Hana, you've completely transformed. She placed Juliet's hat on my head, and as she did, I peered into the mirror. The costumer smacked me on the back, jolting me back to my senses. I had to hurry. I ran into the wings, trying to peer on stage. John was wandering the front, bemoaning the loss of his fair Juliet, certain members of the audience mumbling under their breath. Where was I supposed to enter from? I glanced round, utterly confused. Oh, woe! If only my fair maiden would graceth me with her fairest of presences. Shit, I needed to get out there. Nothing for it. I emerged as gracefully as I could, head bowed under the harsh lights. John turned, shocked, but immediately covered his expression. My most fairest of maidens, hark! O fair, how haveth thee founded thyself upon this balcony of mine desire? I flushed. Now I was supposed to improv? In Shakespearean? My heart of hearts, my love of loves, naught but mine horrid folk have trappeth me here. That worked, right? Where exactly in the plot were we? Mine love, I rushed over here as soon as I had received thine hasty message. Thine sweet Romeo, star of thine heavens, and you, the refreshed hope of mine heart. I shall rescue you, and we shall then flee and frolic as none ever have. John lifted his arms to me. I stared down at him. He didn't mean for me to jump, right? Surely he was joking. But John made a face at me and flicked his fingers towards him. I swallowed. For thee, my love, for thee I overcome. With deep breath, I climbed onto the edge of the balcony. Then, eyes closed, I jumped. Ugh! I collapsed right on top of him, and John fell to the floor. Hearing John grunt, I rolled off and away from him, ending up against a fake bush and knocking it down. I wheezed, desperately trying to catch my breath as John crawled over to me. Hana, are you okay? Hana, the play. How oft when men are at the point of death have they been merry, what their keepers call a lightning before death? Oh, how may I call this a lightning? Oh, my love, my wife, death that hath sucked the honey of thy breath, hath had no power yet upon thy beauty. John immediately launched into Romeo's Death of Juliet speech, and I closed my eyes, doing the best impersonation of a dead person that I could muster. It wasn't hard given the circumstances. And lips, O you, the doors of breath, seal with a righteous kiss, a dateless bargain to engrossing death. John turned toward me, eyes lit with determination. Oh no, I forgot all about this part. He placed his arms on either side of me, his face coming closer and closer. My heart beat rapidly as I tried my hardest not to scrunch up my face. My first kiss. John cupped his hands around my chin and placed his thumbs over my mouth. Huh? He kissed the tips of his thumbs ever so tenderly, then pulled away, all the sorrow of a grieving man in his eyes. Thus with a kiss, I die. John collapsed next to me, hand in mine. The actors playing our families rushed out on stage. John and I giggled quietly. That went well. Better than expected. You were right, Hana. The human Juliet was a million times better. Not least of all because I think I finally understood how Romeo felt about her. John. I mean, you almost killed me. John. Just kidding. Okay, things are working out terribly in terms of the play, but at least they're working out good in terms of the characters. John grinned, nudging me in the ribs. Shh. In the end, the play was a success. Really? Oh, well, comparatively. People praised the action-packed twist at the end, seeing the entire play as a strange avant-garde performance. Juliet was a bird because she was treated as subhuman until she was finally able to exercise her free will, or something. Under this artsy pretense, we were given the benefit of the doubt and allowed to continue with the play. People complimented me on a job well done, though they didn't necessarily mean my performance. A few people did say my death was pretty convincing, though. As we hung up our costumes, John and I joked to ourselves about the new Jacques' mysterious disappearance. I think he flew to the Bahamas, or maybe he returned to that creepy shopkeeper. I'm just glad he's out of our lives now. He was nothing but trouble. Are you sure he's not hurt, though? Are you kidding me? That bird is even more stubborn than I am. He's got a survival instinct surpassing the fiercest lion of the savannah. He'll be fine. Honestly, it was better that he was gone. He would be happier that way. John said that I would play Juliet from now on and that we could practice whenever we liked, though I wasn't too keen on that idea. Overall, as we headed to our dorms to practice like crazy before the tournament, I was happier than I'd been in a long, long time. Maybe there was something to this acting thing after all. Whew. I need water. Does this mean all the stress is gone now? Whew. I awoke the next morning feeling like an entirely new person. I grabbed my uniform, laying it flat against my chest and glancing into the mirror. Wait, why is there a rabbit? It is I, Hana, an actress. I thought Mr. Bunny was destroyed. Why is there a rabbit? I giggled quietly to myself. Mai groaned from her bunk. Sorry. I changed into my uniform and dashed out the door. We will never know. Today was the day of the tournament. Maybe I could turn one win into two? Oh, tournament, right. I stepped out into the fresh spring air, taking a deep breath. My event was one of the first ones to go, so I had to be there earlier than most. Plus, it took a little time to get to Higginbana. I set my shoulders and started across the campus. The arcade at which the tournament was being held was much smaller than I expected. I felt like I'd find some kind of convention, but instead it was a small local arcade filled with arcade machines. Excuse me, ugh. Smaller rooms split off, which was probably where the individual competitions would take place throughout the day. A few people milled about the space, generally older folk in their 20s and 30s. I glanced at the agenda in my hand and made my way to one of the back rooms. When I entered the competition room, I found 2 chairs on an elevated platform, a computer and a projector sitting between them and hooked up to separate controllers. Ian sat in one of the chairs, looking bored out of his mind.
Good morning.
Ian!
Hey.
Alright, I don't remember what voice I did for this guy. It's about time you showed up. I was starting to get worried that you died. Aw, it's sweet of you to be concerned. Is it? Yeah. I got into the chair next to him. A man came over to check my name and club affiliation. I'm part of the Normal Boots Club. A small surge of pride made me sit up straight as I said it. There were chairs lined up for people to watch us compete, and to my surprise, the entire room soon filled. As the chairs were filled, my nerves grabbed a hold of me. I swallowed hard, searching the crowd to find John. There he was. My anxiety eased. I smiled and made a little wave, and he waved back. The lights around Ian and I dimmed, and the projector started up, showing the main menu of Dumbadoom's Revenge on the screen. It was time to start. As the MC began his introduction and explained the rules of the game, Ian turned to me, a smirk on his face. Sure you're ready for this?
Yeah.
You bet I am. Ready to go? The man turned to us. Ian and I nodded. Then, 3, 2, 1, start! The game began. I immediately clicked to fill my screen with 2 more lines of blocks. Ian began working with what he had. I scanned the blocks for the pink hearts, eliminating them one by one, making combos where I could. I still wasn't advanced enough to plan tons of combos ahead of time, but I could make it much more likely for combos to happen through probability. The pinks were all but gone. Green leaves were next. Dumbadoom started flipping at the top of the screen. Ian must be comboing, which meant I had a few seconds before those blocks would fall. I set up a combo on top of the screen and started eliminating the orange blocks below it. Then it happened. A 6 combo jumped out at me from on the screen. My eyes crossed as I stared at it in shock. I just had to move the top block over one space. Then, as quickly as I saw it, it vanished. The blocks looked normal again. You're dead. As Ian's blocks fell upon my humble kingdom, I slid the combo into place. 2, 3, 4 combo, 5 combo, 6 combo, 7 combo, 8 combo! Ian's attack converted into blocks and hovered above mine. I set up several more combos and waited for them to fall. 10 combo, legendary! Dumbadoom started farting out rainbows over Ian's zone, and then... blocks. So many blocks. They didn't come in a chunk, they came in a torrential downpour all over Ian's side, sliding from left to right and back again. Ian blinked, his hands and eyes moving frantically over the screen. I wasn't sure he had ever seen something like that before. I sure hadn't. I continued to combo while this was happening, but at this point there was no need. Ian's screen filled up. He kept trying to make combos until the very end, but... game over! That was it. I won. I stared dumbfounded at the screen in front of me. Ian's mouth hung open. The room was silent. Then...
Whoa!
Yeah, Hana!
Oh, yeah.
I knew you could do it! I glanced up to see the room applauding. All of it. Even the Hidden Block Club. The announcer was gaping at the screen. I've never seen a score that high. Certain I was red as a tomato, I stood to climb off the platform. Not so fast. Ian stepped in front of me, grim as always. I braced myself for his infamous sarcasm. But to my surprise, he laughed. That was a hell of a game, Hana. It's exactly what I wanted from you. He held a hand in the air, and I looked at it in confusion. Don't leave me hanging. Oh! I high-fived him, and he clasped my hand in his. Thanks, Hana. That was fun. Then he disappeared into the pressing crowd. I forced my way through it myself, eager to find John. A bouquet of roses was thrust into my vision. I took it and looked up. I thought you deserved flowers after your wondrous debut. Since you didn't get any last night and all, a lead actress deserves to be given flowers. I gazed at the deep red roses, happiness flooding me. This time, they truly meant something. Thank you. Anyways, I've got to get going for my event. Wish me luck. I don't need to. I'm coming with you. Okay, then let's get going. We won the tournament! Yay! Whew, I need water again. Hang on. I followed John to an event room at the front of the arcade. It was a small space, only a handful of people were there to watch the incoming battle of the retro gamers. Hey John, ready to fight? I had to double up on events this year, and I don't have your history with retro games, but I'll put up as much of a fight as I can. We'll see how it goes.
What's up?
Are you okay, John? You don't look too good. For the first time that day, I truly looked at John and realized Jimmy was right. John was pale, and there were deep bags under his eyes. His hands were trembling ever so slightly. I've had a rough few weeks, but after this, everything will be much easier to deal with. Oh. I wasn't able to practice much. Well, maybe you still have a chance. Not that I'm gonna go easy on you. I wouldn't want you to. John, are you sure you're alright? John heaved a heavy sigh. It's just that I'm one of the founders of Normal Boots, and here I was so caught up in my own business that I could hardly even practice. I barely deserve to call myself a member, let alone a founder. John, you can't be serious. You dealt with a death, losing your lead for the play, then a terrible performance of that play, and got yourself a new girlfriend. And you think you should have found a way to put even more pressure on yourself? New girlfriend? Are the participants ready? Of course, right at that moment, the pig-faced MC popped into the room. We're running a bit behind, so let's hurry it up. John made a face at me, then took his place beside Jimmy and picked up a controller. Right. The person with the highest score at the end of this level wins. On your marks, get set, play! John pressed start and away the game went. Of course, it became apparent very quickly that John wasn't wrong in his assessment of himself. There was no way he was going to win. He needed to have practiced more. John played his very best right up until the end, but it wasn't even close. Jimmy finished several thousand points ahead, and John set down the controller with a grimace. Ooh. Could I have done anything to help that would have allowed him to win? Could I have done something? Oh god. The crowd, disappointed after hoping for a good show, retreated back into the main entry hall. John stared at his hands. Hey, as always next year, it was a pleasure. John nodded, extending his hand for a handshake. Congratulations. Jimmy took John's hand, the relief so plain in his face that it was almost painful. Hey, you still did really well despite the circumstances. I'm sure I did. At least you won your event. Maybe with that we still have a chance. And just like that, John was his regular cheery self, though still a bit tired. Want to go look around? Are you sure you're alright? He shrugged. It's over. What am I gonna do, mourn? He grinned at me, and I chuckled half-heartedly. Too soon, John. Then let's go play. Yeah! Alright. Eventually, the MC took the stage, ready to announce the winner of the tournament. John's hand slid into my own as the MC opened the tiny envelope containing the results. And the winner of this year's tournament is... the Normal Boots Club! Yes! John and I screamed and punched the air, and given that our hands were intertwined, it looked like we combined forces to take out some kind of monster, anime style. The Normal Boots Club and I swarmed the stage, piling around both the trophy and the MC. John grabbed the microphone from the MC, who looked as though he'd been mugged. This year's victory goes right to the rest of my club members. I really dropped the ball, and if it weren't for them, there's no way we would have won. John motioned to the group of us on stage, pausing to allow for the audience's applause. Finally, I have two announcements. First of all, join us in welcoming Hana Mizuno, the newest member of the Normal Boots Club, and my girlfriend. A swarm of gasps flew from the men around me. John motioned me to the front of the stage, where I stood next to him, blushing furiously.
See?
We couldn't have won without her. Ain't she cute? John. I shoved him and the crowd laughed. Then something soft encircled me. PBG had wrapped a Normal Boots jacket around my shoulders. Thank you. If it wasn't for her, we wouldn't have won, and Asagao Academy wouldn't have a drama club. She's the real hero of this day. The audience applauded politely once again. John smiled gently at me, then turned to face the crowd with a rather serious expression. Finally, I have one more announcement. He waited a few moments for the crowd to settle. As they saw the look on his face, the mood sobered. I would also like to dedicate this victory to our fallen comrade in arms, Jacques. Sadly, he is no longer with us. I haven't been able to find a way to repair him, and until that day comes, our robot bird friend will be missed. I wrapped an arm around John's shoulder as he lowered the microphone from his face. There was a moment of silence, and then John passed the microphone back to the MC. After John's announcement, there wasn't much more to the tournament. The crowd left soberly, and the excitement of our victory vanished. At least, it did until Satch met us just outside the arcade. What? Jacques has been broken this whole time? Why didn't you tell me? Let me have a look at him. I'll see what I could do. Satch took Jacques under his wing and enlisted the help of the only other person in all the academy who would understand robots. Kakusu. I don't understand. Why her of all people? Is she part of the electronics club or something? Don't worry about it. I still believe she's a robot! John paced the floor like an expectant father, glancing up every so often at how the operations were proceeding. John, don't worry. Jacques can't get any worse than he already is. I know that, Hana, I know. John stopped pacing, instead coming to rest his head on my shoulder. I know he can't get any worse, but what if he gets better? Part of me wants him to come back, and part of me... John, what if he doesn't have his memories anymore? What if he's got a completely different personality? What if he doesn't like me? How in the world am I going to deal with all that? John, I really don't think you need to worry about that. A small thump came from inside the room, and John jumped. Everything okay? Nothing to report. We've got it handled. John resumed pacing the floor. No matter what I did, nothing would calm him down. He was beyond help. Finally, the operations were done, and Sachi Kakusu approached us nervously. Well, how did it go? The operation was a complete success. John. I've missed you, John. Jacques. The rest of us left after that. John was tearing up, and we thought it best to give him some privacy. In fact, I didn't see him for several days. But eventually... He can even fly now. Can you believe that? Satch said Kakusu did some kind of optimization on him, so his wires don't run through his wings anymore. He's happy as a clam. Jacques swooped down between us for a split second, just long enough to add, I resent that. I really think he could be a star someday, Hana. I'm sure he can, John. I'm sure he can. We'll see what I say about that. John and I were officially dating, Jacques our ever-present third wheel. Well, that was how I would have liked it to be. To be honest, it was more like I was the third wheel. John and Jacques' bond, stronger than steel and wires, surpassed even the love John and I had for each other. But I didn't mind. All I cared about was seeing John happy, and if Jacques was a part of that, well, maybe I could learn to love Jacques too. I have a bright future ahead of me. I believe this.
Yeah!
You do. Together we'll be the best actor-manager pair the world has ever seen. You will see your name in lights if it's the last thing I ever do. Believe it. And of course, Hana will be by our side the whole way through. Right, Hana?
Yeah.
Of course. Man, this is great. I've got 2 talented actors with me, not to mention a girlfriend I absolutely know I can count on. We've got a bright future ahead of us. I just know it. Not if I can help it. These two. It looked like I would be stuck with them for a long time to come. And to be honest, that sounded wonderful to me. Best Ed! Best Ed! I did it! I didn't fuck up! Oh my god. Can't believe I only had 3 more episodes after that freaking hiatus. God damn it. Asagao Academy. Whew. That was Asagao Academy, John's route, and I need water. Whew. That was an adventure and a half. Whew. Wait, hidden routes? Also, was Jacques on... Wait. Jacques and hidden routes? Wait a minute, what? Wait. You know what? Never mind. Well, that was definitely something. Those choices were pretty difficult to figure out because I had to do a lot of thinking for a lot of them just to see if I was actually gonna make the right choice and not fuck things up. There were so many times where it really seemed like I was screwing things up. Holy crap. I am glad it worked out. Oh, man. Whew. Well, as the credits roll, I guess there's not really much else for me to say. I do plan on doing all the other routes, and there will probably be a link in the description below for where you can go to vote on what route I do next, so go do that. And then I'll get around to this again sometime, with hopefully less freaking 2-month-long delays. Thanks for playing. Whew. Jacques, over here! Please, look at me! No, over here! Sign my autograph, I love you! You've created a monster. No, I've created a star. I have to admit, I had my doubts about this whole Jacques is a superstar deal, but I guess you knew exactly what you were doing.
I know, right?
Hell yeah, I did! Jacques was now an internationally recognized celebrity, with fans from several countries and all walks of life. They came from far and wide to see this amazing acting bird. At first he was just a novelty, but it seemed that the first time someone saw him perform live, they fell in love. His fandom grew exponentially until we had to take him on tour, and then he started getting television and movie offers. Jacques just had a way about him that made people want to love him. It was an odd turn of events, but I was enjoying the ride, for the most part. And now that John is a star, I'm ready to set my eyes on my next. Your next? John winked at me. I didn't like that look, but that was a discussion for another day. John watched his bird's stars in his eyes. My beloved Jacques. I mean, would it kill him to pay more attention to his actual girlfriend? I sighed and wrapped an arm through John's. Some things would never change.
Asagao Academy, Normal Boots Club.
And that's how it ends. Oh man, that was an adventure. Well, I've been Max. See you next time for maybe another game. Maybe we'll get to the next route of this quickly. Either way, see you next time for other things. Goodbye.